There's a lie that too many artists believe. It's the idea that you need to feel inspired before you can create. That inspiration is some of the magical forces that comes out of nowhere and fills you with energy, making you sit down and create a masterpiece. But here's the truth. If you're waiting for inspiration, you'll be waiting forever. Successful artists don't wait for inspiration. They don't sit around hoping for that perfect moment when the ideas start flowing. They create whether they feel inspired or not. They don't rely on mood, they rely on discipline, and that's why they succeed. People love the idea that great art comes from moments of sudden inspiration. Movies and books show artists having dramatic breakthroughs, rushing to their canvas or sketchbook and creating something amazing in one sitting. But that's not real life. Real artists do struggle. They have days when they don't feel like drawing or painting. They have moments when their ideas feel boring or when everything they make looks terrible. But instead of giving up and waiting for inspiration, they push through it. I used to believe in inspiration. I thought that if I wasn't feeling excited or motivated, there was no point in creating. So I waited and waited. Some days I wouldn't draw at all because I didn't feel ready. Weeks would pass and I'd still feel stuck. But when I noticed something, the more I waited, the harder it became to create. My skills weren't improving and my ideas weren't getting any better. That's when I realized inspiration doesn't come first, action does. Here's something that will change the way you see creativity. Inspiration doesn't come before work, it comes during it. Think about it. Have you ever forced yourself to start drawing, or even when you didn't feel like it, and then after a few minutes, something just clicked? Suddenly, you were in the zone, full of ideas and excitement. That's because creativity is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Successful artists understand this. They don't wait for inspiration. They create a routine. They show up every day, sit down, and work, even when they don't feel like it. And because they do, inspiration finds them in the middle of the process, not before it. Some of my best work came from moments when I didn't feel inspired at all. I told myself, just draw something, anything. And once I got started, the ideas started flowing. But if I had waited for that feeling to come first, I never would have created anything. A lot of artists use waiting for inspiration as an excuse. It's an easy way to avoid the hard part of art. Because let's be real, art isn't always fun. Sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes you'll hate everything you make, and it's much easier to tell yourself, I'm not just inspired right now, than to sit down and struggle through the process. But successful artists don't make excuses. They know that if they only worked when they felt like it, they'd barely get anything done. They understand that the difference between an amateur and a professional is consistency. So, what you should do if you're stuck waiting for inspiration is stop waiting and start creating. So you want to make a schedule. Treat your art like it's a job, not a hobby. Set a time every day to create, even if it's just for 30 minutes. And you can create without pressure. Not everything you make has to be perfect. So allow yourself to make bad art. The act of creating is more important than the result. Another thing is you can find inspiration in the process. Start sketching, doodling, or experimenting. Often, ideas will come once you're already working. You can also challenge yourself. Try drawing something outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes boredom comes from doing the same thing over and over. People love to talk about talent. They say, "Oh, that artist is so gifted," as if art is just something that happens to you. But talent is overrated. The real secret to success is discipline. Successful artists aren't the ones who sit around waiting for the perfect idea. They're the ones who show up every day and do the work. They make hundreds of sketches, thousands of mistakes, and keep going no matter what. And because they keep going, they improve. They get better, faster, and more creative. And eventually, they become the artist that others look at and say, "Wow, you're so talented." But it was never about talent, it was about consistency. So if you're waiting for inspiration, stop. It's really not coming. Or rather, it will come, but only if you start working first. The difference between successful artists and those who stay stuck is simple. Successful artists create even when they don't feel like it. They understand that inspiration isn't something you wait for, it's something you create through action. So pick up your pencil, your brush, your tablet, whatever you use, and just start. Even if it feels forced, even if you don't know what to make, just start. Because once you do, inspiration won't be far behind.